To sacrifice is to permit disadvantage. Yes. For the sake of something else. So when you permit it, so when you come to fasting, remember there was one of the definitions. I hope my man has finished typing the definitions and we'll be putting it up, the definitions I gave. My man. Is to suffer injury. Now, you injure yourself in fasting. Your stomach and your feeling. Without it, to permit injury. Very good, thank you. To permit injury or disadvantage. You can't fast. Somebody said the weather is too cold for fasting. Not true. Not true. Not true. So, without it, you lack something. And what I would best describe it as like the life of your ministry never starts. The life of your life and ministry never actually starts because you lack the sacrifice. Yeah. To permit injury or disadvantage. I've done exams whilst fasting. It was a disadvantage because you need glucose for your brains to work. And some of you have more than enough glucose. When I was in school, one of the years, I remember, I fasted. Every 3 days, I fast for 3 days, then I break for 1 day. Then I fast maybe 1 day. Then I break 1 day. There wasn't even any much food in the schools anyway. So, but I was fasting not because I didn't have food. I want to make that clear. But even God is the one who knows. God knows what I was doing. I don't care what you think, but I'm telling you. Yes. I fasted until I became bones. So one day somebody met me and said, do you think you go to heaven by being a skeleton? You think you need to be a skeleton in order to go to heaven? How many of you have fasted to the point where we see that you have even lost weight? Most of you put on weight during fasting. And the reason why you put on weight during fasting is because when you fast during the day and you eat at night, it just adds on and then you become fatter. So you see people trying to combine the fasting with losing weight. It doesn't work. But if you fast to the point where you lose weight, they say that the fasting is actually working. It's to suffer injury. Where is it? Permit injury or disadvantage for the sake of God. Yes. Somehow there is a spark that never comes into your Christian life. Yes. Sit down. You know, I was at a funeral 2 days ago. There's a particular event, my brother-in-law, Sydney. There's a particular event. We were fasting here in London when we were starting the church. And there was a time that I was staying with him. I don't know how come, but we were all fasting. We used to talk about the fasting. You know, then he told me one day he was so convinced. He said, look, fasting is the answer to so many things. And Jesus himself said, this kind cometh out not but by fasting and by prayer. So he was very convinced. We used to discuss. I said, really? And one time, he told me, I came back, I would see him all the time. And he told me, look, something terrible happened. I said, what is it? He said, I was fasting for 21 days. He said, I don't eat at all. In the evening, no food. Only water. I don't drink juice. I don't drink milk. I don't drink nothing. Tea, no. Water. 21 days. And he said, sometimes he would go to work because after 2 weeks, he'd not been eating nothing at all. He said, I didn't forget. And I start running after the bus. I'll be moving. And normal because I'm late to work and whatever. Disadvantage for God. Then he said on the 18th day, on the 18th day, he was tempted. He said, when I ate, I regretted so much. Well, the way he described it, it was like a funeral. Yeah. He said, look, it pained him so much that he had eaten. He didn't even feel like eating again. So he decided to do the 21 days again. Yes. You see, you are saying, you are softy that about Christians who are not, you have not learned the hardness of sacrifice in ministry. Yeah. Injury. You see, without it, you can sing, you can dance, you can clap, you can read books, you can have Bibles, but there is an element which is missing in your life. Yes. Yes. One day I fasted and I collapsed. I was all alone. I couldn't get up. Yes. So you have to pay your dues in fasting. Not everybody can fast. Some people cannot fast for health reasons. And some people should not fast for health reasons. There are some people, you can die even if you fast. And you are not one of them. Some of you have said, I'm the type that will die. I will die if I fast. John chapter 12. John chapter 12. Verily, verily, I say unto you. But let's read from verse 23. Jesus answered them, saying, the hour is come, that the Son of Man should be glorified. Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat falls into the ground and die, it abideth alone. It stays alone. The corn is alone. But if it falls into the ground and die, it brings forth much fruit. Verse 25. He that loveth his life shall lose it. But he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. You actually have to hate your life. It's like, don't you love yourself? Don't you love breakfast? Don't you love lunch? Don't you love dinner? Why do you hate yourself so much? So, fasting is one of the sacrifices. Without it, you cannot. Praying on your own and praying in the church for hours is one of the sacrifices, because it is a sacrifice to talk to somebody who is unfriendly. When you talk to the person, say, hello. So how's everything going? Okay. So how's life today? Fine. So are you still in school? Yes. So Is your mother there? Yes. You see, it's a sacrifice to continue talking to such a person. Now let's take Almighty God. When we talk to him, he doesn't even say yes. He doesn't even say okay. He doesn't even say no. We have to believe that he is hearing us. Serious. So to continue talking to the God who does seem not to even speak a word in your room as you are there all alone in a cold weather where you want to cover yourself and sleep, it takes sacrifice to continue in prayer. All right? Now, thank God for John Wesley. His house is nearby. When I visited his house, they showed us a bed and a chair. He said they sit up to sleep in those days because of the weather and the chest infections they were getting from the weather. They sit up to sleep. They sat up in those days. Yeah, you don't lie down and whatever. And he preached, traveled, went all around. Early, he rode miles on his horse. Some of you have no idea what it means to ride a horse. To ride a horse, when you see them galloping is different. Walking with a horse is different. Trotting is like this. Shake your bones, whatever. And that's what John Wesley was doing for years, up to almost the age of 90. He died at the age of 87. Yes. And he lived. And he believed in hardness. He believed in hard work. He always wake up at 4 a.m. or so. Hard. Working hard, praying, writing, reading. He scrapped all his sermons up. Said, if I cannot come up with a new sermon after 10 years, then I cannot be using old sermons. He's changed everything. He traveled, preached, worked for years in this England, in the weather, in rooms that were cold, no heating. Those of you are saying you can fast in Africa. Go to Africa and fast, but we can't fast here. We are feeling cold. No. Greater people have done that for us as a good example. All these good examples they are Englishmen and other people who have done great things. Now, you have to sacrifice to learn the word, to memorize scriptures, and to read the books you have to read without paying the price. Singing, even preaching, pastoring will always lack a certain something. And many of us lack that. So that is why even sometimes you see some people, we invited them, come to Ghana, come to a Bible school and so on. Just that step alone, it shows something. Maybe if you call it a disadvantage, I'm going to disadvantage myself. It's not really a disadvantage, but it's more of a learning process. But it's like, well, if this is a developed world and that's not a developed world, then it's like going from a developed place to an undeveloped place. It seems to be a disadvantage or a sacrifice. Okay, fine. Take it. Everybody's sacrifice is something a little different. Some people already don't like eating. So to fast is not so... It's not such a problem. It's not any wild thing. Some people really love food. And that becomes a big sacrifice. Jesus said in John chapter 12, look at it. The people were calling him. He said, now the hour has come. Verse 24. The hour has come. Yes. The hour has come. All right. That the Son of Man should be beautified. And that hour has come for you. The hour has come for things to become more glorious and more beautiful. You know, the word glory is not a word we use every day. Don't say, oh, you are looking glorious. No, you are looking beautiful. But it actually means beautiful. The time has come for your life to be glorified and to be made wonderful and beautiful. No one knew Jesus at this stage, but he said now the time has come for glory to come. And what's the glory? The corn of wheat is going to fall into the ground and disintegrate and sacrifice and lose and suffer and die. And that glory will come into this life through this process. Yes. That's the time. So you see, there's a time for everybody to do well. There's a time for you to be glorified. There's a time for you to do well. But when that time comes, you may be a singer and you may sing so naturally. But a time will come where you have to sacrifice to sing. Singing may be fun for you. You can hear and you just start singing. It's easy. But a time will come where you have to pay a price to sing. And if you don't pay that price, the glory goes. The glory goes. Oh yeah. And the same thing for your preaching, your bacenta work, and everything you do. A time comes where you have to pay a price for the glory to come. Yes. That's why you see the same pastors, same people, everybody read the same scripture, has a different effect. Someone preaches and no one really changes. Someone preaches and people change their whole life. Say, I've changed my whole life because of this little message that I've heard. Sometimes I meet people and they say, when you preach this, my whole life changed. And I think to myself, what did I preach? But you see, there is something in it, and it's from the element of sacrifice. And that is why I will be calling you, because it's my work, to make sacrifices of money, but most of all of your lives, because that's the biggest and the best thing you can give. Give him your life. Yes. Like he said in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, they not only gave the money and the offering, but they gave themselves. They gave themselves. So I'll be calling on you. Not that I'll be calling on you. I'm calling on you. I'm telling you now. Not any future, anything. This is present. You see, there are some of you who dilly-dallied around working for the Lord. You look at it, you just sort of massage it a bit, touch it a little. Do I really want this? I want to serve the Lord? And so, yeah, it's nice. I'm telling you, until the day comes when you pay the price, you cannot serve the Lord. You have to disadvantage yourself sexually. Well, some of us, many of us, we can't serve the Lord because sexually we are only doing what we feel like doing. And the first thing of a pastor is, if anyone wants to be a bishop, okay, let him be the husband of one wife. It means you've got to sacrifice a whole lot to just have one person. First thing. So many of us are about the pornography, sex, boyfriends, girlfriends, playing around, doing all funny things.